Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Chris Maloney back with you for another edition of CWN Recap WWE Elimination Chamber 2021, which took place live last night on the WWE Network. Kickoff show took place WWE Network as well as social media, and it's about, I want to say just after, well, almost 6 o'clock p.m. on Monday night, and I'm still kind of in shock as you saw that opening image there. But I'll get through the recap here, as well as just some of the highlights, some of my personal thoughts as well. And obviously, they say, you know, if a pitcher can state 1,000 words, so to speak, that opening picture, so to speak, was worth those 1,000 words and then some. But anyways, to say, yeah, almost 24 hours later, still kind of in shock is understatement there. But Chris Maloney, London, Ontario, like I said, WWE Elimination Chamber 2021 live on Twitch right now, and then premiering on YouTube as well as Facebook later on after I do the show here. But kickoff show, the panel was Charlie Caruso, Booker T, JBL, and Peter Rosenberg. And they announced right away that Keith Lee is injured. Fatal four-way match between Ricochet, Mustafa Ali, John Morrison, and Elias tonight, as in last night, to determine the third man in the U.S. Championship match. So they didn't really go into detail as far as Keith Lee goes, as far as what's going on with him. But the fact is he is not going to be part of that triple threat match for the U.S. Championship there. So they announced that right away. And then backstage, Kayla Braxton is seen with Cesaro. Cesaro says, you know, he's ready to step up. You know, he's ready to do this, to go on to beat Roman Reigns as well. And we're seeing a different side of Cesaro. And like I said, I'm absolutely loving it. If you watch the prediction show, you'll know that I was rooting for Cesaro as well as on the fence about Daniel Bryan there. But we'll get into that momentarily here. Backstage as well, MVP joins the panel, and then Billy Kay joins MVP, and the MVP takes off. So MVP's backstage talking to the panel there, and all of a sudden Billy Kay comes in with her resume, and then her I almost said mugshot, but her headshot, and MVP. You know, she's Billy Kay saying she wants to be part of the Hurt Business, and then sure enough, MVP mentioned something about her voice, and anytime he hears her voice, it hurts. So, I mean, she's unofficially part of the Hurt Business, but the MVP takes off, and obviously Billy Kay is left there, kind of, you know, still looking for somebody to hook up with and last, so to speak. Sonya Deville joins the live panel there. Doesn't get too many words out before the Profits come out. Profits are basically saying, hey, they want the rematch, and how come they, you know, they haven't been given it yet? And Deville is like, you know, being a mega kind of badass, so to speak, and be like, this isn't the time or the place. I have an office, and all of a sudden she starts name dropping people, and the Street Profits are like, we beat those guys. So I'm not sure the storyline that's going on between them, but you know, I don't know. It's for whatever reason, Sonya Deville does not want to give him the rematch. So you know, eventually it's going to end up playing out. I can't see her, you know, getting in the mix with Bianca Belair, you know, and that's kind of a prelude to what I think is going to happen at WrestleMania. But we'll have to wait and see. Profits are on their own right now. Bianca's on their own right now. But for whatever reason, Sonya Deville does not want to give them that rematch. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here. From there, we get into the kickoff match, which is the Fatal 4-Way. So Ali comes out with Retribution, no Reckoning though, taking on Ricochet, John Morrison, and Elias. No, Elias does not have Riker with him, so it's Ali's the only one out there with reinforcements, so to speak. Lots of interference by Retribution during the match. Ricochet powerbomb into the corner outside the ring by Retribution at one point. This leads into Ali being distracted. When he's distracted, he gets pulled back into the ring by Morrison, rolled up, and pinned. So Ali still not, you know, getting the championship there in the WWE. Morrison ends up winning, going on to the triple threat match in the main show, and you know, we'll probably hear Ali complain with Retribution tonight coming up on Raw. But anyways, that was the kickoff show, and then we get into the main show, and they started off, and I will say this. really cool concept of them, the panel being there at the Thunderdome, and then seeing the backdrop they had set up, because you know, it's not necessarily the table that used to be set up when we had live audiences and everything else up towards the entrance. It was basically right down towards the Elimination Chamber. So that was the backdrop there. So it was kind of cool. And they had a chamber about halfway raised up. So it was kind of a cool graphic there. But props to them just on the little things, you know. But in saying that, first match of the night was a SmackDown Elimination Chamber match. So 6 guys into it. I'll go through the entrance as well as some of the highlights, as well as the winner, and then post-match everything else. But so Kevin Owens enters first, and is his first ever Elimination Chamber match. Sami Zayn's out next. I believe it was his first as well, but the announcers didn't mention anything about it. Owens is Jack and Sami basically behind the glass there. Referee Jessica Carr's banned Sami's crew from ringside. Baron Corbin comes out next, and all of a sudden you hear Sami Zayn in the background just yelling through his pod. And he's yelling to Corey Graves that there's injustice. So Sami Zayn's still playing up that character. Jey Uso out next. Jack's Kevin Owens. So Owens is basically to the left pod as soon as you enter the ring. So he's right there. And Owens then starts headbutting the pod wall. Video promo plays to set up the match in its entirety. Cesaro comes out, spooks Sami in the pod. So Sami wasn't paying attention. Cesaro kind of came up, hit the pod, and Sami freaks out. Sami's, I mean, I love the guy. He's just he's comical. He's talented, and you know, I love what he's doing with the injustice setup, so to speak. Daniel Bryan comes out next, and then they're 5-minute intervals. So the guys wrestle for 5 minutes, and another guy comes out. Corbin's the next one in. Sami comes out next. Comes out cowardly though, doesn't want to get out of the pod. Cesaro and Sami fighting on top of the pod. They both scale the side like Spider-Man. Cesaro knocks Sami off and then starts doing chin-ups on the top of the chamber. So it's kind of a cool visual there. Corbin attacks Cesaro back and forth. Cesaro swings, sharpshooter. Corbin submits. So that was an early out. And I was surprised at that, because obviously they're not playing up King Corbin like he used to. Obviously, he's still the mouthpiece, so to speak. But the fact is, yeah, he ends up tapping out to Cesaro. So Cesaro's looking strong immediately. Owens comes out. Sami tries to cut a deal, saying, hey, they're both Canadians. They're both on the same side. Sami gets tossed into the pods, and then Kevin Owens goes after Bryan and Cesaro. Then we have all 4 hitting finishers at one point. All 4 men are down. Basically, Owens dominating. Uso in. Owens attacks. Uso tossed into the pod. The back pod wall is gone at this point. So kind of a prelude to what's going to happen later on in the show, but nothing happens at this point. All 5 go at it. Owens with a moonsault off the top of the pod onto the other 4. Owens that hits a stunner on Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens puts out Sami Zayn by pinfall. So 2 guys gone. Owens leaving. So when Owens is not Owens leaving, but Zayn leaving. Basically, Uso slams the chamber door on Owens. Uso attacks while Owens is trapped. So basically, that huge chamber door that's right there, as far as the entrance go, Kevin Owens has got his right arm trapped into it. Uso continuously slams that door into his arm. Then all of a sudden takes advantage of him. So Kevin Owens is hurt. Super kick into Kevin Owens by Jey Uso. And then from there, followed by the big splash, the big Uso splash. And then Kevin Owens gets pinned, so he's gone. Cesaro, top rope gut buster to Bryan, 1 leg swing. So Bryan had hurt his leg at this point, so Cesaro had started to capitalize on that. Uso out of nowhere with a super kick and a splash to pin Cesaro. That was interesting. There goes Cesaro. There goes my pick. Splash to Daniel Bryan. 2 count, though. Top of the pod splash. So Uso was like, you know what? Fine, I'll go up once again, but goes to the top of the pod. Hits another splash, and he only gets a 2 count as well. Bryan recovers. Running knee on Jey Uso. 3 count. Bryan is exhausted, though, and the next thing you know, we hear the music of the tribal chief, the head of the table, so to speak. So match number 2 officially. Ref checks on Daniel Bryan. He's good to go. Bell rings. Reigns spear attempt, and Bryan hits the yes lock as he's doing it. It was kind of a cool moment. The referee, so not the referee, but Corey Graves is freaking out. He's like, oh my God. Daniel Bryan kind of suckered him in, so it looks like we're going to have a new champ. Reigns breaks it, though, dominates with hard hits. Reigns with a choke. Bryan is out. Ref calls for the bell, and still. So cool moment, and I predicted this some way or another on the prediction show there. Reigns is celebrating. Edge comes out with a huge spear, points to the WrestleMania sign, fireworks take place, points at the sign again, and Edge theme music's plays. So that was a cool moment. Not necessarily the end of the show like I wanted to see it happen, but it did happen. Edge walks up the ramp, and then a beaten down Roman Reigns in the ring is just staring up at him. And then we get a backstage promo, Bad Bunny, Miz, and Damian Priest. From there, we're going to match number 3, which is the U.S. Championship match. Lashley with MVP, taking on Matt Riddle, taking on John Morrison. WWE Chamber, hashtag in front of it, trending number 1 in the U.S. They let us know. Double teaming by Morrison and Riddle, but Lashley's just too strong. Lashley finally taking out Morrison and Riddle back and forth. Lashley comes back, finishes hit on him by both Riddle and Morrison, only 2 counts though. Morrison goes after the crutch of MVP, so MVP's out there with a crutch. Enters the ring, but the Hurt Lock is put on him by Lashley. So Riddle takes advantage, grabs the crutch, nails Lashley with it several times. Lashley out of the ring. Riddle with Bro Derek on Morrison, 3 count and new, and then Lashley and MVP upset. Riddle celebrates on the ramp with the championship, and then we go to commercial break, so to speak. Match number 4 of the night, WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match. Champs enter first. Cole confirms Edge versus Reigns at Mania at this point. Backstage, we have Kayla interviewing Banks and Belair. Reginald interrupts, though. All 4 women get separate entrances. Final moments where Sasha hitting a frog splash to Shayna, only getting a 2 count. Sasha Meteora to Nia Jax, 2 count as well. Reginald arrives, tosses champagne bottle to Sasha, doesn't use it, though. Ref grabs it. Jax was the Samoan drop while Sasha's kind of distracted. To Sasha and then the pin. And we still have the retaining tag team champs with regards to Nia Jax as well as Shayna Baszler there. No post-match between Bianca and Sasha. So we'll have to wait and see if anything happens tonight as far as the Raw Women's Championship goes. And if not, SmackDown this coming Friday night. Fastlane's announced for March 21st officially. And then backstage, we have Miz and MVP talking, but the camera is kind of doing a zoom, so we don't hear any kind of audio. But like I said, Miz and MVP are talking, so take note of that. Raw Elimination Chamber match takes place now. So the main event entry is Drew, followed by AJ, Kofi, Sheamus, Hardy, and Orton are the 2 to start. Drew comes in next. Kofi then comes in next. Back and forth. Kofi with a roll-up and a 3 count on Orton. That was kind of out of nowhere. Orton kind of gets PO'd. RKO's both Kofi Kingston as well as Jeff Hardy. Almost rips the back panel off of Styles' pod, the same one Sami Zayn, his pod had got destroyed there. But as opposed to not doing anything about it, Styles comes out, runs around the ring, and enters the chamber as Randy Orton is leaving. Kind of a little bit of a stare down. I don't know if there's anything that's going to happen between the 2 of these guys, but Orton leaves. Styles is unofficially in the match. So Adam Pearce comes into the ring and ejects Omos. Kingston SOS on Drew for a 2 count. Sheamus enters the ring and a huge fight with Drew McIntyre ensues. Tower of Doom with Styles, Hardy, Sheamus, and Drew. Kofi coffin drop on all 4. I know he's got his own name for the move, but I can't think of what it is right now. Goes to the pin. Gets 2 counts on every single one of them. Sheamus bro kick to Kofi, though, 3 count. McIntyre Claymore to Hardy, 3 count. Styles was huge offense on Drew McIntyre. So at this point, we've got 3 men left. But he only gets a 2 count on Styles, only gets a 2 count on Drew McIntyre. Sheamus, huge offense on Styles. Future shock by Drew on Sheamus. So it's going back and forth. It's a high pace at this point. Bro kick by Sheamus on Drew McIntyre. Phenomenal form on Sheamus by AJ. And Sheamus on Sheamus by AJ. AJ gets the pin. So basically, it's left to AJ Styles as well as Drew McIntyre in the finals. AJ phenomenal form attempt on Drew McIntyre, but as he's doing it, Drew bounces up, hits the Claymore kick as AJ Styles is in midair. Now it's going nuts. Drew and still WWE champion. But obviously, you saw the graphic at the beginning, and it's been almost 24 hours, and the world knows what took place. But post match, Chamber lifts up. Drew McIntyre celebrates Lashley with a spear and a beatdown. So the second spear kind of out of nowhere. First by Edge, this one by Lashley. Lashley had called big time as well. I don't know where the WrestleMania scene's going for him, but him and obviously McIntyre's going to have words with him probably tonight on Raw there. But Lashley spear and beatdown, Hurt Lock. Drew is laid out. So guess who hits the ring? The Miz. Miz by himself hits the ring, cashes in. Ref rings the bell. Miz beatdown, skull crushing finale, and we get a new WWE champion as the internet is exploding. Both good and bad. It's interesting to know some of the fellow podcasters here in Ontario. I loved it. I was kind of the 44-year-old version of the Miz girl, that face. I was like, what? And, I was like, okay. I even posted on Twitter. I was like, okay, WrestleMania 9 and WrestleMania 11. It's looking like it's going to happen this year. But I've had a little bit of time to think about it. I've seen all the photos and this and that, and then saw the timeline of people reacting to the Miz, and it's different. He no longer has that briefcase. He is champion now, and people are so used to seeing Drew McIntyre, and people are so used to seeing Sheamus in that mix, and even Randy Orton in that mix, and now he's not with that briefcase. He's not alongside Morrison with that briefcase being annoying. He is actually champion. So kind of looking forward to the opening promo here on Raw tonight, and to see where they go with it, and to see how it plays out at Fastlane, and then how it drops into WrestleMania, knowing that Edge and Roman Reigns are actual official now. So it's I'm more interested now than it was last night. But like I said, Miz is WWE champion. Show officially ends, and the show is off the air by 9:30 at night, which was great in a way, because Sasha Banks on Broken Skull Sessions followed. Watch that in its entirety. Very cool to hear about some of the backstory. Sasha Banks, just how much she's gone through, and how much passion she has for the business, and as well as how much confidence she has as well. But like I said, the show was off the air by 9:30, which was kind of unique there. So all in all, I can't complain about the show. Last night I wasn't the happiest that Miz won, but in saying that, I gotta easily probably give it a 7 out of 10, if not an 8 out of 10. But great work by the WB, especially with Edge, and challenging Roman Reigns the way he did last night. So guys, as I do every single recap show, we've got the match of the night, which is this SmackDown Elimination Chamber match for every name that was part of that. To Cesaro coming close, to Daniel Bryan getting the win, to post-match with regards to Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and Edge. I think it's great. And the fact is, it's match of the night for me there. Wrestler of the night. And throw up the promo, the graphic of the angry Miz girl right there. But I've got to go with the Miz. It's hard not to, not to say anything about that. Fact is, when it comes down to it, he looks good with that championship. Well, you see all the pictures on Twitter, WB.com, social media, whatever the case might be. But he looks surprisingly good with that championship. And knowing he's married to a Canadian, it's a little bit of bias. But never thought doing this show in 2021 I'd ever give Wrestler of the Night to the Miz on as far as the pay-per-view goes. But yeah, guys, that is it. No complaints, like I said, at all. If you're going to check it out, definitely check out the opening match, SmackDown Elimination Chamber match, as well as make sure you watch Edge spear Roman Reigns, as well as even watching the Miz at the very end of the show. But good job by WB. Next pay-per-view is coming up, WB Fastlane, March 21st. On the WB Network. We'll be doing the recap as well as the prediction show for that. Next show for us, CWN Weekly, episode number 28. I believe it's right there in front of me. Episode number 28 coming up. Maybe not Friday, but maybe Saturday. It will definitely be within a 24-hour span. I just don't know if I'm going Friday or Saturday yet, scheduling wise and being a dad and everything else. But that's just the way it is. But guys, as always, check me out at Chris Maloney, CWN online, with regards to Twitter, social media, Instagram, all that sort of jazz. And if you haven't seen, like I said, Elimination Chamber, go back and like I said, watch the opening match, watch Miz do what he did, because there was like I said, social media blew up last night there. So guys, that is it. I'll be back either Friday or Saturday for CWN Weekly episode number 28. Until then, take care, and I'll talk to everybody again sometime soon.